What's a let that sink in fun fact? It took humanity approximately 4 times longer to switch from copper swords to steel swords than it took to switch from steel swords to nuclear bombs. When NASA pitched the idea of the Voyager missions to Richard Nixon with the idea of touring the outer planets, he was told that the last time it was possible, Thomas Jefferson was in the White House. The particular planetary alignment that Voyager 2 used on its journey occurs only once every 176 years. Jefferson really dropped the ball. Duck, Louisiana, we could have sent Lewis and Clark to Mars. If the Sun were scaled down to the size of a white blood cell, the Milky Way galaxy would be the size of the continental United States. The vastness of space is mind-boggling. If the moon were 1 pixel, joshworth.com. Thanks, I had a fun time scrolling through a lot of nothing. Seriously, killed about 15 minutes on there. I was just impressed at how well it worked on mobile. Next to the US Army, Disney World is the largest buyer and importer of explosives in the USA. I was wondering what Mickey needed nukes for before I remembered fireworks exist. The Titanic had 2 sister ships, the Britannic and the Olympic. There was a woman called Violet Jessup, a nurse and a cruise liner stewardess that worked on all 3. The Olympic crashed into a warship whilst leaving harbor but was able to make it back. She was on the Titanic as it sank and is referenced in the Titanic film, a stewardess that was told to set an example to the non-English speaking passengers as the ship sank. She looked after a baby on lifeboat 16 until being rescued by the Carpathia the next day. It's not known what exactly caused the sinking of the Britannic, but the lifeboats hit the water too early. As the ship sank, the rear listed up and a number of the lifeboats were sucked into the propellers. Violet had to jump out of the lifeboat she was in and sustained a serious head injury, but survived. She was on board for all 3 incidents in the space of 5 years. She went back to continue to work at sea for another 30 years before retiring in 1950. She died of heart failure in 71. Edit, thank you for the gold. Here's her wiki, n.wikipedia.org, as well. There was a time in history when trees existed but the fungi which causes wood to rot had not yet evolved to digest wood. Dead trees and plants would pile up and the 35% oxygen atmosphere caused massive fires. This is also the time where petrified wood came from. Trees would sit in mud for 1,000s of years and not rot while minerals slowly replaced the wood structures. Scientists who work with cockroaches often develop allergies towards cockroaches. At the same time, they also develop allergies to pre-ground coffee. I don't like where this is going. Edit, duck, it went there, mnn.com. I worked for a large coffee roaster. When you cut open the bags of green coffee from all of those third world countries, it is amazing the things you find. Coffee is essentially dried in the middle of streets and any number of things can end up in there. We found shoes, farming tools, huge needles for weaving the bags. 100% chance of bugs in coffee in some places. The good news is, those little guys are roasted to 400 degrees and disintegrated by the time the roast is over. The good news is, those little guys are roasted to 400 degrees and disintegrated by the time the roast is over. If it literally doesn't kill you or even harm you or is noticeable in any way, I don't care. I'm not gonna notice the cockroaches pretty much ever. Yeah. There's gross stuff everywhere if you look hard enough. You were fine before you knew, you're fine afterwards too. My coffee tastes extra good now. Stegosaurus lived 150 million years ago. T-Rex lived 65 million years ago. Stegosaurus was more ancient to the T-Rex than the T-Rex is to us. Edit, decided to provide scientifically accurate illustration. The Great Pyramid was built before the last woolly mammoth died. You can place all the planets of our solar system between Earth and Moon and even have a bit of spare space after. When humans started farming, blue eyes in humans hadn't evolved yet. Dozens of Americans die every day from slipping in the shower and hitting their heads. Dozens, I tell you. It's one of the primary leading causes of non-medical deaths in the USA. That's why you gotta sit in the shower and enjoy relaxation of not going to die. There is, on average, a supernova explosion every 50 years in the Milky Way. On average, there are 30 every second in the observable universe. This one is probably the best let that sink in fact here. Let me just repeat that. Do you know how big the universe must be if it's 30 every second while taking 50 years in our galaxy? Hella big. Pro tip, don't Google big at work. There are more chickens in America than people on the planet. Holy shit, there are seriously over 7 billion chickens just in America. That really is a fact that is intense to let sink in. The US Navy has the second largest air force in the world. The US Army has the third. The UK Dyslexia Association is situated in Reading. Edit, Reading, Berkshire, UK? Not the Pennsylvania one. Edit 2, the Reading postcode area. Pronounced Reading to those unaware. Edit, yes, it's like the one in Pennsylvania. And anywhere else that has the same name. PLS stop now. Also pronounced Reading to those who are aware. Neutron stars have such strong gravity that if you dropped a marshmallow into one, it would be like dropping a 3-megaton nuclear warhead on Earth. Also, if you add mass to a neutron star, the volume of the star shrinks. Gary Newman is older than Gary Oldman by a little under 2 weeks. What's new is old and what's old is new. Bill Clinton, George W. Bush and Donald Trump were all born within a 66-day stretch. China used more concrete in 3 years than the US used in the entire 20th century, Forbes.com. Macaulay Culkin is now older than Catherine O'Hara was when she played his mom in Home Alone. Mark Hamill in The Force Awakens is the same age that Alec Guinness was in A New Hope. If you have clean water and temperature control, you are better off than half the population. The first electric car was invented at the end of the 19th century and it went 65 miles per hour. Because early gas engines had very low torque, some of the earliest cars were gas electric. Adwaita, the longest living animal ever, was a giant tortoise given to Clive of India. He was born around 1750 and died in 2006. He existed longer than the United States has. There are more tigers privately owned in Texas than tigers in the wild. Edit, wording. The overall goal in golf is to play less golf. This is analogous to my approach at my job. The Holy Roman Empire existed until 30 years after the United States was founded, 1776 to 1806.
Everyone seems to froge about the Holy Roman Empire, see.
The moon orbits us from the west to the east, but we see it move across the sky east to west because of the rate of the Earth's rotation. Our observation is like being in a faster car watching a slower car, heading in the same absolute direction, fall further and further behind us. To be in the top 1% of Americans in terms of income, you need to rake in about $400,000 a year. Round it off to $1,000 a day. Hoo-hoo. I only have $999 to go today. Your body consists of roughly a 1-to-1 ratio of bacterial to human cells. But human cells are bigger and more complex, with a big mitochondria to power them. The US dropped 26,172 bombs last year, 2016. That's almost 72 per day. That's about 3 bombs an hour. Every hour. For the entire year. In 2017, the US had already dropped more bombs than that by September. It is unlikely that a person could actually die in quicksand, since most quicksand is only a few inches deep. Edit. Most people who do die in quicksand get stuck in tidal basins and drown when the tide comes in. Source, has been stuck in quicksand to my armpits, but I got out before the tide came in. For a split second I thought, did he get out in time? I was concerned that he was answering on mobile until he said he got out. Source, stuck in quicksand, please send blub blub blub. If you choose not to have children, you are the first person in your direct ancestry all the way back to the first humans related to you to not have children. Edit, changed bloodline to direct ancestry. Edit 2, others have informed me that it goes as far back as all organisms since life evolved on Earth. I hadn't thought of that. Maine is the closest state to Africa.